So many people hold of Rav Pam, Talmidim of Torah V'das and the Litvische Welt, and even the Chassidische Welt. Rav Pam was a Gadol Adar. And I don't know why people don't really know what he said, because they asked him clearly our sugya. They asked it to him very clear, and he gave a very clear answer, which we're going to learn together. And I think we should just listen to what he said. We can rely on Rav Pam. Zatzal. They asked him, it's in Meir Tzedek, Daf Kuf Samach Gimel, you can look it up, it's one page. Shaila, they asked him, Mayasu ahoyim im yeled begil hispagrus, shu moirid u'mesarev leilech b'derech hayosher benyonim shel yiras Hashem. Isn't that what we're dealing with? What should parents do? They have a kid, teenager, and he's moirid u'mesarev. He's rebels, he's rebellious, and he refuses to do the right thing, leilech b'derech yishara, in the nyoni avodas Hashem. It's no Shabbos, no tznius, no kashrus. What should they do? Listen to what he says. He says, Zui sheilish she'oyle be'emes li'itim tchufes. I get this a lot. Ubaya zu mitzuye bebatim atoivim b'yoyser. And this problem is found in the nicest, most wonderful homes. As we look around the room here, we see we have the nicest homes. Ubeprat kishabacher magil legil espagris, especially when they become an adolescent, a teenager. Mishnah shloisha esrei adesim, from 13 to 20. Shizui gil kasha, it's a difficult age. Gil kasha ma'oid, very difficult age. Uvaharbe mikrim hu gil shel prashas drachim, and many times it's an age of splitting ways, like a fork in the road. Prashas drachim. And there are many of these kids that they make a turn, a U-turn, a wrong turn down a bad path. And I found two different ways, two approaches to deal with this. Okay? This happened to kids from wondrous, beautiful families. B'mikra echad, in one case, hahorim ibdu eskol hasavlonos. The parents lost all of their patience. We can't deal with this. We can't deal with this anymore. Shaliachlu b'shum oifin lispoil asay said this. Bo ma'im ad nafesh. Can't deal with this anymore. Ad kan. Shaliachlu oid lismoided them said we can't deal with it. V'zarku oisay min abayis. And they threw him out of the house. Umikra zeh. And this approach, she says, it didn't end well at all. This action that the parents felt they had to do something, we should just do nothing. So many parents say, we should do nothing. I'm like, well, if doing nothing is better than doing something, then you should do nothing. Until you figure out something to do better, you don't make the patient worse, right? We do nothing until we know what to do. So they felt, no, we can't deal with this. We have to do something. Not in my house. Today, by the way, I don't think people are throwing the kids out of the house. They're just making the kid feel so unwanted that the kid chooses to leave the house, because nobody can live with this oppression, with these expectations, with parents looking at you like, in order to live here, you have to have rules, consequences, whatever it is. If the kid leaves the house, they feel unwanted. So maybe you didn't say get out, you just made them feel like they need to leave. That's not any better. They feel homeless because of the rules and the consequences and the boundaries that are choking them. If the rules, consequences, and boundaries made them zustel, or in Hasidish, zishtel, right? Conform, wonderful. But if it makes them leave the house and they disappear, and the parents say, oh, I'm so relieved. You're relieved? You're relieved? You lost the patient. Like a hospital saying, I'm so relieved that the patient left. One less problem on my hands. But you know, the kid is getting worse. Kids on the street who feel homeless get worse and worse. Says Rav Pam, Habocher yored mamish mata mata. Maybe the parents felt Oh, we have our house back. But what happened to their precious child? He went worse and worse and worse. And the way that the parents dealt with the child made it it became his excuse. He said, my parents don't care about me. Became his excuse. I don't have any rules anymore because they threw me out. Now I can do whatever I want. So not only was he this bad, but now he got much worse. Why? Because parents don't care about me. I don't have any rules. I don't have to tzishtel or zushtel. He didn't become better from this. He didn't come crawling back, knocking on the door. They asked the Satmar Rebbe, the Divrei Yoel, Schus Yugen Alayni. He told parents, and there's many stories where he told them, only love, don't reject the kid at all, and he gave a mashal to a parent. He said, if you give each kid $100, give this kid double. Show him more love. So they asked him, I don't understand. In Europe, you told parents to throw the kid out. So he said, yeah, in Europe, you threw your kid out, and he came back, crawling, and he started to behave. It was cold in Europe. There was no place to go. They starved. They got hungry. So I'm not going to go into whatever they decided to do back then in Europe. I wasn't around. But Divrei Yoel said, but times have changed. Now you throw your kid out, they don't come back. So you can't do that anymore. And the way that they said, I can't deal with this, it's embarrassing, it's difficult, right? It didn't make the kid better. It became the excuse of the kid to do worse averis, which Reb Gershon Edelstein says, and the Pele Yoyed says, that parents are over lifnei iver leisitin mechshel. The Yarad mata, he went worse and worse. The Ahirim ibdu es kol maga itoi. They separated ways and they lost touch with him. The ad hayoim, until today, hu adayin lechazer leyadus. That's a mahalach. That's what Rav Pam says. Until today, he didn't come back to Yiddishkeit. No, from the other side, Re'isi, he's giving you edus. I saw a mishpacha, b'matzav daim in a similar situation. V'hoisa lehem es hashavlanos. They had patience. Yeah, it hurts. But they had patience. Hamishpacha lo hirasa me'olam. Listen to this. Livnam shum eva. Chas v'shalom. B'shum tiskol. V'lo hireu shum yacha shel tiyuv mimenu. These parents and this mishpacha, the brothers, the sisters, they didn't show any disgust. It's unbelievable. Nothing. It's very hard. The guy throws away his black hat, throws away his white shirt, he's with the ripped jeans and with the funny haircut and no yarmulke and could be piercings and who knows what. They didn't show any ava, no hatred, no tiskel. How do you say that in English? Frustration. As if mamish one of the boys. But how's he going to know? That's the stupid question. How's he going to know? They need to know. Nothing. One of the boys, this is, oh, very nice. This is the way you're dressing. Great. Okay? V'lehereu shum yachas shel tiyuv, no disgust. Isn't that amazing? And he writes, they didn't show any hatred, chas v'shalom. You see, he's not happy with that. He was like, God forbid. They didn't show anything. So what are the three things? They didn't show hatred to him or the way to his behavior. They didn't show frustration. And they didn't show any disgust. Very difficult. They dealt with it like you deal with a passing illness. What do they call it? Tipesh esrei, right? In Israel, they call teenagers shlosh esrei, arba esrei, tipesh esrei, kuku esrei. Passing illness. This is going through a phase. The same way a person could have a physical illness, shahatzar hu noira. The tsar is terribly painful, right? And they do everything possible for the sick child. And you daven, and you hope for good. Clear. A child who's like this, not just a rebellious teenager. It comes to a point you see he's rebellious, he's misarev, he's not listening. It's a machla, but it's temporary. It's a machla iveris. And you deal with it. How do you deal with it? Tsar is terrible. The tsar of parents is terrible. No one's taking away your pain. But for oisim kol ma'aseh efsher, do what you can. Mispalim, you pray. Mekavim l'toiv, you hope. And that's the way you deal with this machla as well. The soif, what happened? Here gish ha-bachar hanal, this previously described bachar felt, kirva l'mishpachtoi. And this is a fact. If you ignore whatever they do, and you're always smiling and saying, great to see you, and you don't comment on their hairstyle or hair color or piercings or, God forbid, tattoos or their behavior, so what happens? They're closer to you. So, saif. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, they're closer to you. They're hanging around you more. So he felt closer. Ulafikach, and that's why, therefore, kishegadal ktas, when he got a little older, Venasa yoser sichli, became a bit more stable in the head. He got a little more stability in his brain. Hikir lebesoif, he realized, he was maki, he recognized at the end, shemakoymai hanachain hu bederech shalabayis shaloi. He realized, I don't belong on the street. I want to get married. I want to have kids like my parents have. I want to have a frum family. He realized, I'm part of this family. This is where I belong. Mekaymei hanachain, my proper place is in the derech of this family. B'soifei shel davar, and at the end of the day, the end of the road, achar kama shanim, after many years, Osa habachar sivuv l'toiva, he made a U-turn. He made a turn l'toiva. Ha'hoirim holchu imoy l'Eretz Yisrael. His parents took him on a trip to Eretz Yisrael. V'sidreu b'yeshiva mesuyamas, and they put him in a certain yeshiva. V'nase leben Torah amiti. I wish this would be said on me. He became a ben Torah amiti, an emistic ben Torah. V'gam also shidduch yafa, and he did a beautiful shidduch. V'hayoim and today, hu meha b'nei Torah hachashuvim. Today is mechashuva b'nei Torah. Ein lahashvos matzavim shaynim. We can't compare different situations. Avala toitzois mishtei agishas ha'elu. But the results of these two gishas, these two approaches, bevadai moirim al haderech shel savlanut. Saying you could see at the end of the road, you're not going to feel good in a week from now. In 10 years from now, you'll be able to see. If you look at the results of these two approaches, for sure it points to the derech of savlanis. V'ani yodea, he's testifying. V'ani yodea u'makir matzavim acherim daimim lehanal. This is not my first and last time that I've seen this, says Rav Pam. I know stories that are like that. Loisha hoya hadavar kal. Not that it was easy. It's very difficult. Nobody should be tested with such a problem. Agmas nefesh yoim yoimis. Correct? It's a daily agmas nefesh that you go through. It's bitter like death. When you see your child, how many of your kids were top kids and you've dreamed this is going to be your tachshit? How do you say tachshit in English? Your jewel, your tachshit. That's how you say it. Now you see the kid turning down. Rahman al-Itzlan, God forbid, away from Torah. Davazehu glula mara, it's a bitter pill. ad ma'od, very, very bitter, right? V'kosha l'bliya, and it's difficult to swallow. Oyoim v'noira, awesome and horrific. Ein zeh davar kal, zeh machiv. It's not an easy thing. It's very painful. Rav Pam saying, I feel your pain. V'sheilu zu magia elai midei pam, and I'm constantly getting this question. V'tomer ani oimer bazeh, and this is my answer. Tisnagu bisavlanus. Be patient. Loi lizrek oisai. Don't throw them away. Loi litchaisai. Don't push them away. V'loi lintoishaisai, and don't forsake and abandon them. They need a mommy and a daddy even though they're not behaving. Rak tesnagu imoy b'toiv im savlonus. Deal with them with goodness, with kindness, with patience. V'HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yazor, and the Eibishter V'Telf and Hashem will help you. Clear? And he's not just giving you advice, he's telling you, I've seen this. I've seen parents who did it that way, and I've seen parents who did it this way. And I know it's hard for you, but this is the way. Anything that's zrika, anything that is pushing away, loylut chaysa is begging us, don't push them away. And yet we have parents who say, in the house you can't this and that, and you can't and you won't, and you want, and fighting, arguing. Look at the kid, you're pushing them away. He says, no, work on yourself. Like we said before from the Ramban, an v'sanusa, you have to have a lot of anova and a lot of savlonos. They should be close to you. They should be close to you. So that way one day they're going to realize, you know where I belong? With these people. These are my people. This is my family. That's where I want to be. That is the way to save lives.